Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Beautiful day. June 29th, 2022. June 29, 2022. You see, Salon people, we have a lot of work to do. Democracy, like how President Joe Biden talk on America, is something that we should fight for. We should stand up every day for protect democracy. You see, people in the kind of power, like Marabiodem, they hide under democracy, but they want to become dictators and autocrats them, for can take over countries, for suppress the voices of the people. And we don't agree. So today with me now, I get the Africanist press brother Chernoh. Cashbox is with me, People's Power is with me. Hopefully, Koita will join me later. But we can't get this conversation. You see, because what's in lacking today in Sierra Leone, we don't want the SLPP continue for distractory, right? Every issue is important when they come with. Well, we are going to stay focused. Some people that we eyes is on the price. We eye, it is on the price. And when I don't say that price is to ensure, say, Madabiono Sidona power 2023. We're going to kick him out democratically because the people of Sierra Leone are fed up. They don't tire. So what's the responsibility we'll get as citizens then? We have institutions. But even if inside the institutions them, we see the institutions and corrupt. And so they can't talk about, especially like the parliament today. Some people them, this is what they do so. It is to save the soul of our democracy. You want to listen to this message. I want you to understand, say, it is not about you anymore. It is about future generations yet unborn. Sierra Leone too small. Less than 7 million people. For now we suffer, so now people in the suffer, so we they watch them picking and the foot they rot in the bone they expose it come out. Hey, Salon people them. They are broken institutions are in the cause. Therefore, we can't discuss this here today, particularly so the members of parliament. The lack of action of members of parliament and the sellout with members of parliament, don't sell we out. They feel say we know the see them things there. They feel say we know the see them game there. So, Brother Chernoh, I'm going to bring you in here, but before I even bring you in, let's talk about this. We know say they want to use this proportional representation for distract your attention from the election bill itself, where the core issue is in there. Where the goal for them guys there, they're ready for them Marabios power. Till 2028. While they pan small in-house fighting with the pan, especially within the opposition of the APC party, the pan small in-house fighting, they're ready for sacrifice. Say, listen, the parliament, you give them more to take over the parliament, you take the presidency. These guys are ready for these things. And there are certain people in parliament, they feel say they're young enough for them be at 2028, they can still kind of fight for presidency. That's why the Marabios succeed for run 2 term, because no one for be a 1-term president. Then they go Canada and can be president of that country. And these people are within the parliament. Then they're within the House of Parliament. So they're not mind for sell the Salon people them just for achieve their own selfish desires. So with all the suffering, the pain where people they go through, with all the hardship, then guys they're in a parliament ready for them to come and hang it and say, you know what's in? The people and voice no matter again. The proportional representation can inside. So Chernoh, talk to me about the sellout of this parliament. When it comes to these bills here, when they don't put the parliament there like today, you talk about the welfare bill, right? Members of parliament want for increase their salaries. They want for increase their medical bill them. But yet the people don't get access to healthcare. They don't think about building hospitals. But then they put their own welfare bill in place. Then the government gets a proportional election representation bill. We get for the Elections Act, where they want for can pass now. Then they educate the public about these things, Chernoh. Then they talk to the public. Why are they not talking to the public, my brother? Talk to me about these things. Expose these things. Open it up for we. Let me get this conversation. Thank you. Come on in, my brother.
Yes, thank you very much again for bringing me to this platform for share with the people of Sierra Leone what is currently on the floor. Like you already mentioned, we get 2 important laws, 2 significant laws we get for do directly with democracy in Salon. And then 2 laws and the 9 parliament they try for change. You get what and called the Political Parties Act of 2002 and the Public Elections Act of 2012. Then 2 laws they are, and the laws that this will they use for regulate the conduct of political parties and the affairs of political parties, and the other law, when the elections law passed in 2012, now the law that we they use for organized elections throughout. From now we don't get to a situation 10 years after we have passed that law 2012, parliamentarians don't decide say 1 year to the next general election, therefore change all the 2 laws there. And what are the 2 laws there? The political parties act the law way for regulate political parties, and the law way they show how we for organize election. They want to change the two laws and they. And for me, the greatest problem first, like how you mentioned, go begin to introduce two important legislation, two important laws we get for do with the democracy of the country, the development of the country, and the rights, the human rights of people, them, first and foremost, inform them sufficiently. Make them understand, say, this is something we want to do, because the political parties registration commission now the result of the creation of the constitution of Sierra Leone. The National Electoral Commission will now turn to Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, now a creation of the constitution. So then two institutions there, go make law where they change how the institution, how they function, and how they operate, and how they're supposed to organize their activities without informing the people. First and foremost, we get for examine whether the laws want change, we create the institution, and the changes of the, for example, we call electoral commission. You're not supposed to call it that way, they not change, because not so the constitution say. The constitution say for call it National Electoral Commission.
Exactly.
So then, first and foremost, change the name of the institution before even they go to Parliament for change for fairness law. We call them Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone in the first place.
Yes.
So, but what are the response? This come to bring we to a fundamental question of a democratic arrangement, which is what is the role of Parliament? What is the role and responsibility of parliamentarians to the people of Sierra Leone who elect them? Because parliamentarians are not there to represent themselves. Parliamentarians don't operate on their own. Parliamentarians are there to represent people, and therefore take decisions in the interest of the people. And therefore also that means that therefore listen and consult and discuss with the people the way that they represent before they take any action where they affect the people of interest. So, but we don't get a situation now, since Monday, about 10 days now, 10 days, Parliament introduced them two important bills they are, effort for change, then laws they are in our country. They not even tell the people and say this they happen. But we don't know about that, and we don't begin to tell people and say, Parliament try for even when we don't do so. No parliamentarian not come out in the public and telling people exactly what they inside this law. In fact, they introduced this law, the people don't even get access. Up to Thursday last week, nobody, in fact, I will tell you, say 80% to 90%, including the educated people who read that the country. If you ask the right now, what's inside the bills where Parliament they discuss and then two law there, the document we don't make on how they will change the law there, they're all, most of the people in the country will tell you they're not happy. In fact, when we begin raise the issue, na my Facebook, I begin post about that. Parliamentarians in the opposition will call me. They tell me say they not see the law. They say that Monday nobody see the law. They not see the text. So they say they not even read that. So the question is, if we going to take that thing they say that true, say we not to create this law, not to discuss and carry this law, how would I go sit down for discuss a law? Would I not even schedule for debate on Wednesday and Thursday? Would I not first and foremost educate our people and say that this move I want to take. You cannot make legislative changes where you deal with the rights of the fundamental rights of Sierra Leoneans, especially things that hinge on the entrenched clauses of the constitution. Discuss with the country and educate people around so people will get their input. So first and foremost, before we talk about the content of the law, what's inside the law, what's not inside the law, or whether this law is good for the country, not good for the country, why they decide to do this? Well, first and foremost, say, with parliamentarians, they decide on their own. And what's the parliamentarian? Everybody, APC parliamentarians, SLPP parliamentarians, NGC parliamentarians, and C4C parliamentarians.
Right.
The parliamentarians of all the four parties now they sit down and decide, say, they will carry a law for change, discuss how for change we call the laws the way allow for form political parties and how for form political parties and how for run with political, how for exercise with right for association. And how for exercise democratic right for vote on their own. They're not even inform the people there. And up to now, when they ask them questions, they're not willing for talk about that. And comment, even the comments who they make regarding the ongoing situation at Parliament. Instead, since April, Parliament on the animate different discussions, so people talk about different things. But remember, now so let me say back, they don't know about the welfare bill until the common adult they say yes,
Exactly.
they support the welfare bill.
Exactly.
So now again, some of them they pretend say they don't ever see this law. They don't even know about her. They don't even know what's in the inside. And now they know get for know what's in the inside. And me go say that is completely not honest and not true.
Absolutely.
Because when you read the bill, you will find out a significant aspect of the bill, therefore do with the ideas of the NGC, significant aspect of the bill, therefore do with the
SLPP and the NG.
Parliament.
Right.
In fact, they try to make we focus on other aspects of the bill, different from what's are the actual problems inside the law we want to create. So I want to stop here for just give this preface.
Absolutely.
And key things that I want to highlight are the fact that Parliament on their own decided to introduce 2 legislations, and each of these laws, they directly affect the fundamental rights of the citizens of Sierra Leone. The citizens' right to association through political parties, because political parties are one of the avenues through which we exercise the right to association, political association. Then decide to bring an elections law for also decide to change how we go exercise the right to vote or the right to be voted for, and how we go participate in deciding the kind of government we want. So the question we parliamentarians have to answer first and foremost, before talking about whatever is in the bill, why did they decide to bring these 2 significant legal changes 1 year to the general elections we already look forward to? Why they decide to do them again without sufficient consultation, sufficient discussion with the people? In fact, people are not even know up to today, 90% or 95 or 98% of Sierra Leoneans, excluding the members of parliament, have had no access to these 2 documents. They including we educated people them, where they read and write, they're not even, if you ask them today, many of them, 90% or 98% of our educated people in the country, excluding the parliamentarians and the people in government who are responsible for this, don't see these 2 documents. And I believe perhaps, I don't know if UNACEF don't see them, or
No.
not able to read them all, because it's more than 70 pages.
We're not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
Huh?
We're not seeing it.
Just before you come in, Chernoh, it's Chernoh, like Big Brother, I just want to kind of like ask this question. And I know, like, with all these things that where they go on, so we don't see it, the parliament, they don't come with bill. But you remember or you recall, like, parliament stand up or kind of like reject any bill when don't go to parliament? Because my fear now is, with what you they say so, like this legislation way so bad for a country, what's the hope say, like the government don't get forget their way into this bad legislation where you talk about so?
Well, now because they know say, for example, nobody not against the introduction of new law. Make a talk that the business of parliament is to make law. Yeah. Parliament get the responsibility for make legislation all the time, but parliament not for make bad laws.
Yeah.
If we don't need laws, we don't need a parliament. If we don't need people for debate, approve agreements, but one of the major functions of parliament, apart from for scrutinize the work of the executive, that for also make good laws where they promote development, protect citizens, develop citizens, protect the country, and protect the rights and liberties and properties of citizens. That we'll have to establish that one day first. So in this case, it is not a question of whether Parliament get the right for make law or not get the right for make law. The question is, what kind of law has Parliament decided to bring?
Absolutely.
So Parliament decided to bring an election law, a new election law, 1 year to the elections.
Right.
And the question is, all over the world, when people make laws for election, then they make laws for election where they promote democratic participation, where they encourage citizens to participate. The reason why you make election law, that will make sure say every citizen who is eligible for vote, we qualify for vote, get the right and the opportunity for able to participate in the electoral process easily.
Right.
You understand? If you open democratic space, that's one. The second thing, and how you could do that by making sure people are able to register in an easy way, people are able to vote in an easy way, and one way to facilitate that, now for make sure so you get polling stations close to where people, many polling stations as possible, and not only that, election law for also reduce the wasteful experience in voting, voter waste, what we call invalid votes, the invalidation of votes.
Right.
And all over the world, when they make election, and that deals with the technology of voting. If we introduce a technology of voting, where they make sure that every person, the least educated person, or the oldest person will able to vote with
Easy.
almost no assistance,
Absolutely.
no direction.
Yeah.
You don't understand? But now, if you look like the recent by-election,
Sambaya Medugu.
056.
Yeah.
You find out say
we got a lot of voided votes.
Elections, what talk say, the number of invalid votes were so high and alarming. Why? It is possible the technology, the ballot paper is not voter friendly. So in this case, the Parliament for the make law, for address, make more polling stations accessible. Make sure the people able to register easily. Make sure say the technology of voting, the ballot paper, and all the tools for the use of vote, they are voter friendly. But me to tell you say the law where Parliament decide for bring, it is a law that is totally against all of these issues.
And Chernoh,
the law where they militate against democratic practice, where they affect people then smooth participation in the electoral process. We will come to the content of that.
Absolutely.
But to answer your question,
right.
Cashbox, Parliament, not if I reject bills, whether these bills, and then Lord, they are good for the country or not good for the country.
Right.
So that is not the question for us. The question is, why did they decide to bring this law? What kind of law have they brought in front of Parliament?
Absolutely.
And they're trying to pass without the people's knowledge.
Absolutely. Chernoh, let me say this to that question where Cashbox asked, and then we're going to open up the conversation, right? Because we're going to get deep into these two acts, the Political Parties Act of 2002 and the Elections Law of 2012. We're going to get deep into them. But going back to this question, it is because, again, Chernoh, say civic education. With everything you just said about the voided votes, it's alarming. It is a shame. Civic education, civic participation. The reason why members of parliament are taking advantage of this, and we don't come to the spotlight to expose these things. We've been doing it for 4 years, opening up the eyes of people, telling them, say, members of parliament, they're kind of doing wishy-washy things now. Yeah? The members of parliament, we know they trust them in their actions. A lot of them, what they do, it is like everything, they go come, they make conning to we like for say, they go stand up against this thing, but the next thing we go see it pass. We see President Bio, can't tell we say he gets unprecedented support from members of parliament. I challenge parliament. We challenge parliament. We say parliament. President Bio say he gets unprecedented census support about the census. Who can't tell we for saying a lie. No member of parliament or challenge them. So Chernoh, members of parliament are taking advantage of this because they know say 90% of the population is not open up to these ideas. They don't understand what's in the civic responsibilities. They don't understand say members of parliament for come to them. They don't understand say members of parliament for can't talk to them. They for organize town halls. Therefore, they get in town hall meeting them. When they for go to the constituency them, go talk to them people them. This is the same parliament where go 3 months, then take a recess for 3 months. None of them will go all town hall. Maybe 1 or 2 did, but they don't go all town hall. So this is why they are taking advantage of things like this. This is why they continue to go past them bad law there where they can expose. So, Brother Chernoh.
Right, you see, to that point where you talk about civic education, so I think this is exactly what we need, and this is the reason why they're taking advantage of the people. And because like you and I, Chernoh, everybody in our social media, seem for the penetrate and for many people that understand the role of parliament, where I believe say we can kind of like go inside it. Do you not think this like the reason we make the one kind of like take the power from the people for make them select their own parliamentarian? Now it can kind of like take the ruling class for make them select for them. And this not to be the preempt to how they can go, but it is just another strategy for seeing the pattern I have for say, these people they're seeing for the they can't open. They kind of like can begin exposed for see the role of Usa when they fail as parliament. So could this not be the reason? for the PR system, where they take the power from the people into like the upper echelon.
That is a great point. And Chernoh, I think say let we start this conversation now. Let we talk about the laws there one after the other. Why it is crucial, why it important, let for use the word there. What to make it important for let's allow people to understand the laws where they want for change within the Political Parties Act of 2002. Talk to me, brother Chernoh. Talk to me, educate me about this PR system where they want for bring. We're not really that the issue, but it's part of what's in there at the bill. But talk to me about the implication of this bill here. So why Salon people for pay attention and get it for whole members of parliament accountable this time. Talk to me on that. The Political Parties Act.
Yeah. As I say, we're not able to discuss all of the 70, the content of the 70 pages in a one show. So I will appeal to and make we continue to do this in the next coming days or weeks continuously, so we will exhaust
absolutely
part by part, putting actually the dangers and the implication of this bill, not beyond even the elections what they talk about.
Right.
But upfront, if I can use one simple sentence for describe the bill, it is a bill that is anti-democratic, not bill where they are against with democracy, not bill where they are against the participation of citizens in the democratic process in all its forms. Number one, Cashbox, and you already make reference to this, the idea of proportional representation. So the parliamentarians right now, the conversation, if you listen, it appears say the SLPP now they want proportional representation, and that the opposition parties and they reject proportional representation. That is just a rehearsed performance. That way, it's just like way the act play. You don't go beyond the stage. We don't prepare as soon as they can do. So when way they act, when way they do the performance, now already know what think will be the ending of the play, the drama on at the stage. So I just pretend say this are the drama, this are the choreography of the drama. Act one, scene one, where Cashbox can stage.
Yeah.
It will begin talk white. Then we make talk blue, but we find out we all go for can to blue and white in the end. So that is exactly how you would describe this conversation around proportional representation. The proportional representation is not in the interest, while it could benefit all of the parties, but it's more the interest of the opposition parties, especially NGC, C4C, and then you bargain that for the most part. And the current bill will then develop, then talk say, that then propose 25%, anything above 25%, 25% and above, then will be the threshold. Basically, when a political party contests, forget. So, in fact, that they propose. But what they want to do, now they will say NGC and smaller parties, then they bargain for maybe the threshold come down to 12% or maybe even lower, or 15 to 12%. What is the importance of that? That is, you say the smaller parties, C4C, NGC, and APC, then the tribal talks say they want more representation in the parliament. They want to get more members in the parliament. And why that is important for them? It is solve the so-called the unemployment of the political class, the situation where winner takes all. So now would not the concession would they forgive the politicians for sheer power, for sheer power. Now the executive arm of government or the ruling party for allowed opposition some membership inside the parliament, therefore allow them to get more members in parliament. And how do you allow them to get more members in parliament? By dual constituency, because in dual constituency, there is no way you could get APC MP and NGC or SLPP MP, then contest Namakeni or even some partner Frito, where SLPP or NGC will win APC. So the only way for do that, where they all go there inside, and will get a percentage system. So where you lower the percentage, you are guaranteed that NGC or that, so the politicians they all will get jobs. Basically, we will get into parliament and begin get salaries for themselves. And now, if they get to parliament, they already tell you say they will get $15,000 medical allowance. Each MP for one time will get a new vehicle. Not that be there the welfare bill, because we know the welfare bill, so because we know say
exactly
it was part of the bargain.
Exactly.
So we don't already talk about the welfare bill. So MPs they don't develop more salaries and more benefit for themselves. So now they decide now say okay, then we'll open up the parliament. So what is proportional representation will do for them? While they are in parliament, they not get any affinity, they don't get any direct relationship. What that will do for them, that the fact that they don't even get constituency development responsibility. So nobody will call Honorable Sisi from constituency 1,000 and say, from where we elect you, will not see you, which means that the party you get relationship with. So it will allow the MPs in the next parliament to be largely unaccountable to the people.
Absolutely.
And because they are unaccountable to the people don't get anybody for blame other than political parties. That's one. Secondly, it will also allow the opposition parties in parliament to be able to be comfortable and do business with the president, even if the parliament is largely opposition, because it is the result of a proportional representation. It could just be mere talk and mere debate. But worse than as we have it now, they were able to do comfortable deals with the ruling party, and that the only way that they don't tell Madabio, say you go, one of the advantage for Madabio, that the fact that which would never come to the other side, how they intend. These are the side and for the benefit of the MPs.
Right.
So the proportional representation discussion, where SLPP they argue for, where opposition party they pretend like saying they are against. This is why you find out none of them are coming to the table to oppose it openly. Then they are when they get a debate on them, that COP then they will put forward. COP, the acting chair of COP that they put forward.
Yeah.
Because the acting chair of COP, there are no implications when they make a statement. But there is a lot of implication when the opposition MPs then can sit on a television say, were they against proportional representation? Because actually the opposition MPs, the opposition politicians, they want it more. It is more to their benefit than even the ruling party. How it benefit the ruling party? It benefit the ruling party because then they will get a parliament that they can control. So you can imagine a situation where in the next parliament, you will get, because of that proportional representation, you don't go fail for even get a speaker from the opposition comfortable.
Right.
You don't go fear for understanding the smaller party like NGC will become head of government business.
Right.
Whosoever is leading them in parliament will become comfortably head of government business. The opposition MP, major opposition MP say like APC, then will be speaker. So because the PR parliament, a president will not decide to take police there to dislodge them. Because which means the MPs can manipulate themselves easily because they do not owe constituency.
Right, the people.
The constituent, they are not constituency based. Nobody in the constituency can hold them responsible for anything.
Right.
You don't understand? So these are the benefit. So how is the benefit now the president? What is the give and take? So for allowing that, let's decide say they introduce a new law on the voter registration, how for control, for make sure they then produce for the president a victory. They decided to add in the voter registration, in the voter register, they decide to add a new requirement. And what is that new requirement? That new requirement therefore deal with the fact that nobody no go able for register now. In need for get a national identification number,
NIN.
An NIN.
Oh, wow.
So the NIN, you remember last year, May and June, the National Civil Registration Authority, NACRA, they organized registration all over Freetown, all over the country. In fact, most people are Freetown, most people are the North, most people are the Northwest, they're not be able to register because one, the machine and force, they say they get problem. And the machine, they're far apart.
Exactly.
So you find out, say, almost right now, up to 70% or 75% or 80% of people are waiting for in a salon, no register with National Registration, Civil Registration Authority. In fact, as we talk right now, NACRA no they give ID card. They don't begin give ID card the 8th.
Wow.
So it's very important before we pay attention to this point because that's the most important aspect of the law, or one of the most important aspects of the law.
Chernoh, just whilst you're on that point, because like the last few days we've been emphasizing like on this government trying to put credence in their census numbers. You don't feel say like this national registration when they do. Do you not think? Yes.
Sorry, but when we we tell people get you the plan, one for left channel, left flow more on the issue. I know say those are critical points we'll go ask, like jot them down. we'll go ask them low flow on the issue. You know what I mean? Yeah, we decide for get you for yes.
All right, no, that's fine.
Yes,
that's fine.
because if we branch out too much. Yes,
a very fundamental point in terms of the source of the census data. That is the conclusion.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is why when the question you asked now very important, because you deal with this fake idea that the MPs are not sabi what they go on.
Right.
You don't understand?
Yes.
You know, and that is what you're getting at. And that will be perhaps the conclusion of this conversation. Where do the MPs stand and how are they responsible for this kind of
right on. Kashi, judge the point of Kashi, judge
now political fraud. So back to the question of the NIN.
Yes.
So now these people know say last year majority of the opposition supporters, most of them, they're not registered with NCRA, and most Sierra Leoneans, in fact, not registered with NCRA. And when NCRA do registration last year, you find out say mostly that the SLPP strongholds. I hate to talk about strongholds and stuff, but the SLPP areas where SLPP believe they can get voters.
Yes.
Then make sure say everybody within that area almost will turn up for register, be able to register with NACRA easy.
Right.
So which means many of the people who will potentially vote in places where the SLPP believe they have overwhelming support will be able to vote, will be able to register and vote.
Yep.
Anybody that will go, according to the new law, you're not going to go for register if you not produce an NIN. When you go for register, they will tell you, say, bring your name, your date of birth, your address, your place of birth. You don't understand? And also now you produce a national identification. In fact, national identification number is the first thing for they were supposed to ask you.
Yeah.
So which means, and this is important because the voter register get all of this. They done a new detail with the add by the new law. It not be this. The national identification number was never a requirement for anybody with the register. In fact, it passed with the register. If you don't even get ID card, not even get birth certificate. Somebody, now the elder in the community able to testify, like a chief or parliamentarian able to say yes, you there. Can give guarantee, or a JP able to say you not possible a citizen, you resident at the area, you ordinarily resident, and you are a citizen, you qualify for vote. You qualify for register for vote. Now they don't talk say you don't go register. You don't go register if you not produce the NIN when a NACRA give you the NIN, that number, that national identification number, you don't go for register. Because you cannot register. For you to vote, you have to be properly registered. And properly registered means all of the information where the voter need for include that the voter register supposed for be taken and recorded correctly by the registration officer. And when you vote again, the voter register again, sometimes they put say when you don't vote and which side you vote. So if you go register now, then begin registration on September 4. You go for go register, you don't go for register if you don't get NIN. You go for go to NACRA for say NACRA. You now imagine 100 people, 200 people, 300 or 500 people turn up na NACRA any morning for register before can collect slip the NIN for go register. They will left do that, they take the registration pass. If you not person where they sell na Abacha Street, you sell na Salad Ground, you sell na Dove Court, you sell na Magazine Court, you turn up for go register. You come on Calbaton. You go na Calbaton, you come on, go sell na Dove Court or Magazine Court or Mountain Court or Salad Ground or Abacha Street. You go register in the morning before you go sell. You go, they say, go take NIN. You go left for go sell, for go find living, like our country trying that right now. Forget transport, being a problem, forget people in a problem. You say they go sitting up in NACRA all day for 1 week, they wait for your NIN before you go register. They go do it.
No.
Nobody right now will suffer, no go they go do it. No woman. Then mommy there, and then woman there, and then young people there, where they come on and do for with them. Little market for go sell. Maybe they will get chop money for feed them picking them. They no go able for go to the NACRA office for one every day before they will get paper for go now. They will not do that. They no go do that. They no able, and these people know say they no able for do that. They make them frustrate them. They no able for register last year with NACRA. Now even NACRA now Parliament for say Parliament March will pass so March 14. March, the first early March, then Parliament passed a law approve a contract with NACRA, the new company.
Yes.
We'll talk about that contract for different thing. Approve a contract with construct.
Yes.
Systems for making them produce ID cards. So basically, the contract with an award for begin produce ID card them. March they approve that contract day. In fact, the company not start operation. The company for start operation October. Then like 1 month after the registration don't start. Now NCRA they actually ready their system now for begin give ID card. And that company they will check the company. Now the president get interest in the company. The process to which they approve the agreement for on one different thing. They don't scrutinize themselves. They don't ever advertise them. They don't ever put on bidding. That's a different corruption. But what is the importance of that? Parliament is aware that the majority, parliamentarians are aware that majority of the people who are likely opposition supporters in Western area, in the North and Northwest, they are not registered with NACRA. And by extension, they will not be able to register to vote come September. By the time the ID card office they open for bringing ID card, bringing NIN number easily, registration will not pass. So what does that mean? This will not, if you visit as small people register themselves, it will go affect parliamentarian there because the total number of votes, that is what is going to be calculated on a PR system. So they will go parliament easily.
Right.
So in the opposition, in the ruling party now, they will be able for vote. So which means if you're an opposition presidential candidate, whosoever that is going to be, you will have a lot of people turning out in your rally, but these people are unregistered. So by extension, they will not be able to vote. So which means your voters have been suppressed. And if they turn out to go vote, they're not going to vote for you. So parliamentarians will end up going to parliament through a PR system, regardless of whether the vote turnout is small or not.
Right.
But the presidential candidate will end up getting smaller votes because we all know, say, voting pattern and voting process as alone, it is regionally based.
Yes.
It is ethnically based. It is regionally based. That is the nature of the political geography, that the nature of the electoral geography of the country. That is the fact. It's an ethnographic fact. It is an ethnographic reality. It's also a geographical reality. So consciously, parliamentarians then develop. So in exchange for making them go to parliament, they don't fix. They don't set up the presidential candidate of the opposition for make it will get major supporters. They will rally people all over the country, including your strongholds. But these people will have a difficulty to register. And then by extension, he will have low voter turnout. So we think I know how to explain the victory, how to explain the defeat, then we'll send a voter apathy. People have the rally for the candidate, then dance for them, but they don't go vote for them. So they will say, for example, if na Ibrahim, then we'll say we dance for Ibrahim, but we vote for Mada.
Right.
We dance for Cashbox, but we vote for Mada.
Right.
That's how. So basically, it is a conscious and deliberate effort. The same way where this government decides for high corruption in the payroll, high corruption in travel, high corruption in this innovative mechanism procurement process. And the same way they don't decide for high electoral fraud into the voter register.
Yes.
They wrote it into the law. And if they pass on as it is so, I will tell you, say, more than 70% of the voting, or more than 60% of our eligible or qualified voters will not be able to vote in the opposition stronghold.
Right.
And what does that mean? No matter how we want to campaign, no matter how we want to pull the government, we are not going to be able to vote. And that is called voter suppression.
Yeah.
Voter suppression is a method of rigging an election.
Yeah.
So they don't know, say, if they allow people to register. The popular talk right now, almost would wait for register. We'll teach them wireless with vote. Look the by-election not on Kolili. Look the by-election that happened. This 6 by-elections. You see people and determination.
Yeah.
That is even not to the level of the tip of the iceberg regarding people's determination to vote. The government and the opposition leaders, the politicians don't see that. So the only way they want to rig the system is by developing a legislation that excludes the majority of qualified voters from participating in the election.
Yeah.
And this is the opposite of what an election law should be. So the intention, like a bargain, allow women to go to parliament, to take over parliament, then you also become president.
Right.
The way of become president, since now proportionally represented parliament, we will not become an antagonistic parliament. We'll just do business. Till we don't do it second time, we go fight now for be with you. We all go back to who will be the next president.
Right.
Or which kind of arrangement. So there are other issues within the law we get to do with. Now, if you listen to NGC people, you listen to C4C people, you listen to APC people, the APC people will tell you, say, the APC MP, they don't be know about the law, and now they bring her, they don't agree this. Or maybe NGC people, they want, nah, they don't even get concerned because they say one forget 12%.
Yeah.
So the NGC people will be telling their people, we don't do that diaspora voting, we don't address to SIM.
Yeah.
We don't address this. But when you're at diaspora, you come to America, you go for go register, you at least a minimum, you need $1,500, $1,500 for buy tickets for go. Excluding all of that, if you're not going to send for nobody, it's hard to go register.
Right.
Now, imagine you land in Freetown. You go land in Wellington, they say, you turn up tomorrow for register, then 1 week don't left. You say, one go there, they say, hey, where you NIN? They say, I'm not going to say, go na Nakra. And Nakra no say, they're not supposed to make the situation difficult for people and then able to get NIN because that is the reason why they are not even issuing ID cards right now.
Right.
So what you say they're not beginning right now in middle March, the immigration department, okay?
Yes.
And the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and NACRA, they signed a communique. We don't publish that at the Africanist Press website. I don't know if I don't see that document.
Oh no.
We'll a communique where they said nobody now in a salon not supposed to get any service from employment to passport to a work permit to driver's license where you not present an NIN, which means if you go take passport now,
forget NIN.
You for produce your national identification number where NACRA give you. So, which means this communique come into effect June
1st.
I mean July 1. You understand?
Right.
July 1. Now June then signed this communique.
Huh.
So 1st of July, July with this, all right?
Right.
On June.
Sorry, we did June.
For coming into effect June 1.
That next week.
You know what?
June 1, sorry.
Actually, I get them there. Chernoh, I get the communique. Joint communique on the inclusion of the national identification number in applications for work permits, resident permits, passports, and other immigration service. I have the document right here. You're right.
Okay, good. Read the size it will take effect.
Okay.
Line.
Yes. That's effective 1st June 2022. We don't pass so. All applications for work permits, residence permits, passports, and other. Yes, that's it right there.
And another one, I'll tell you. So the 1st of June, Ibrahim.
Yes.
Now in that communique they come into effect.
Yep.
So Parliament introduced this law. Parliament said Parliament don't introduce this law on the 20th of June. So almost at 3 weeks. Then so in fact, you see that communique, it is the result of a cabinet policy, cabinet decision. Cabinet meet in March after we Parliament now approve the NACRA contract.
Yes.
For begin to produce ID cards. We will start in October. Parliament then order NACRA and the immigration people and Social Security, the Minister of Social Security, Labor and Social Security, or say make them sign this agreement, make them implement the policy.
Yeah.
So the implementation of the policy starts on the 1st of June. So right now, if you go take a driver's license in a salon, they will say go first na NACRA, may go take NIN. You know the reason? Because if you get driver's license, you're supposed to get NIN. And if you get NIN, when registration comes, you go for register. And right now, so basically right now, I don't interview about 5 people who will investigate this. When a senior people there, they told me, one of them said they went to road transport for go take driver's license. No, 2 of them said they go for take driver's license. They said they forget NIN.
NIN.
He said they don't go to NACRA for go get the NIN. NACRA no they give ID card on a receipt, they give you paper. He said up to now they not get the paper yet. They wait, they don't go register everything. NACRA has not issued the print the paper and give them. Who said they need the NIN. So which means anybody who want to get NIN right now, there's every possibility you are not going to get it. And now 3 weeks after when I start implement this policy, now Parliament take the law, this bill to Parliament on the 20th of June.
Then pass it into law.
There is no. You see the history of the events there, right?
Yes.
So this sort of coincidence
is
a planned and choreographed and well orchestrated move by Parliament, and Parliament decide for do one, and then they not only do this, they also cause public noise.
Yep.
So that the public will focus on something else.
Yes.
That is like when they arrest black, arrest all this arrest when they do so all this rapid noise where they see all over the place, because they want the public to focus on this while they're in a corner, they rogue the country with this kind of situation. They lay this. This is why you see SLPP people, they talk say they go win the election first round. They go win, then they talk say, well, they are, so most of them are not going for vote. It is not because you do not want to vote, it's because they know
the plan.
They have set in motion a plan. And again, this not affect the parliamentary election.
Yes.
This will only affect the presidential vote.
Yes.
It will only affect the presidential vote. So basically, you have a situation where, for whatever reasons, both economic and political, parliament, the opposition members of parliament and some of the leaders who are not in parliament have all ganged up against the interest of the people of Sierra Leone by saying that they no go get a democratic election. They will rig the democracy in favor of the incumbent as long as they remain in parliament, and then make sure then the people will not have a government of their own choice. Because they don't find out it's difficult for do ballot stuffing. They don't find out it will be impossible for control the votes and the outcome of the election. They don't go, people don't go vote, they go talk say, no matter you win, we not win. So one way for do that, then people they want vote against Madam, they don't go vote.
Yeah.
And the only way they don't go vote, if they don't go for register, the only way they will prevent them for register and get for request, make a requirement for make the register difficult, which is the NIN.
Yeah.
So basically, they don't tie the voting arrangement. They don't take out from you get the, for heaven's sake, the National Electoral Commission is the constitutionally mandated institution that is that should be independently responsible for the organization, administration, and the process of election. No other institution no get that right today.
Absolutely.
The other institutions are complementary institutions. The Political Party Registration Commission, even when they refer to them as an election management body, but they are not an election organizing institution.
Yep.
They are supposed to manage the affairs of political parties.
Yep.
Now, for telling you say them four parties and they don't agree on this, that is why they also decided to bring in a political parties law, a new law for political parties, for make sure say the other small party them back enough of benefit from this. So in this new law, they propose say any party will get 2% in the last election. Therefore, they register them, they don't exist. So which means while they are preparing to, they do not mind to lower the scale for the other party that already in a parliament, made them get more seats and more representation, easy representation of parliament. They also bring in a Political Parties Act for gatekeep, for make sure they build a wall, a fence against other smaller parties, or the possibility of anybody forming a party that will compete also to benefit from the so-called proportional representation. This is to tell you, your opposition leaders, opposition members, opposition parties that are currently in parliament are not against proportional representation. They are trying to make sure proportional representation benefit them only, and also not to benefit every other political party. This is the dishonesty that the politicians in the country have entered into. It's a bargain,
yes.
A deal, if you call it.
Right.
It's equivalent to the deal that the mafia makes. You know, when we look at the mafia movie, Don Corleone, the mafia, the Italian mafia, that's how they act.
That's how they act.
They get to the point where they negotiate their common interest. Say, now left this space for me, I give you this space. Everybody give their own concession. So the politicians, whether I know many of their supporters will not like to hear this. Many of you will listen to this conversation, you will not like to hear it. But this is just the hard fact. Whether we accept it or not, if we not talk to our MPs them, we not talk to our political party leaders, our party chairman, the NGC leadership, C4C leadership, APC leadership, both in parliament and some of the way hang in the corner, where they anticipate their own power ambitions for 2028 at the expense of our welfare. This is the danger that they are arranging for you. And that is what this conversation is about. This is what we want you to know. I know say I don't take the time so much for give an overview, but I think say this now will take we into perhaps the questions where
Chernoh.
cash box be asked. But I want to allow you for something based on
absolutely. Brilliant points. Salon people, this is why we do what we do. Cash box. Let me bring in people's power.
So
talk to me.
Yeah, Ibrahim. Yeah.
Go ahead, people's power. Make your point. Why Chernoh the rest?
I don't take note of a lot of things them we Chernoh don't highlight now. We don't talk now. Almost not flop 3 or 4 pages. I think so. And this page is the way I don't flop so about a thing and this is 4 pages. 4 pages where I don't write all what you don't see. So what do me want to tell the diasporas? Una when at the diasporas where they listen to this program. Una listen and listen carefully. So which means una not get for camp votes the 2023 elections. According to the way how Marabio and in government and the members of parliament, the way where they don't do the setup. So the way where they don't do the setup, una way then at the diasporas, where na APC people, NGC, C4C, or whether you na SLPP person or whatever. Sometimes maybe you the SLPP person, then go tell you say go na Kenema na NCRA, then go find way for do for you fast for make up for you quick, make you go able for access the NIN number so that you go able for go register. But a lot of una then at the diasporas, they will spend on their money then at the political parties. Una they sponsor political parties. Una they put una money then together, una resources them together. For long ensure say una political parties then they come together. Una political parties then they come in governance. So now Marabio don't deprive una. Even though when they talk say, he go ensure say diaspora they participate in the elections, he go make sure say he pull it to see and this and all them things today where they go and brag say in the pool. Now Marabio don't deprive una as citizens as Sierra Leoneans, make una not eligible for come vote now the 2023 elections. This way Chernoh they talk me at just go to waiting Adrian Fisher the decision where Adrian Fisher be make in the last 2 months or so. When Adrian Fisher single-handedly dissolved the executive of a whole political party, it not only dissolved the national executive, the constituency, the ward, the district, the region, all the executive that they dissolved because Adrian Fisher know if they're part of the cartel where they say, then get for bring their laws they are, then get for bring their bad laws they are. Sometimes the APC executive will stand the party, the government. Sometimes the APC party will go reach out to international and donor partners then go reach out to people where they are all friends in governance. That it make Adrian Fisher look the all political party and put all the executive so that nobody no day will go talk for the All People's Congress Party. No executive member no day. Even when they go past the bad laws then na PPRC, then came posting like Alfred. We don't get a clue. We don't understand nothing how politics will run. We don't even get the experience, get the expertise, the knowledge how a political party look a memorandum of understanding where it goes sign for this and by elections na question 56. Where the memorandum of understanding say the political party when a APC not for use the marshal, not for use their own private security them. Where the government know, the government aware say, then get security, then get the police, then get the military officers. These politicians were now the opposition politicians. They don't get police, they don't get military officers. But when they tell them say, make them can sign a document now where nobody not go use the marshals, nobody not go use the private securities. Where you government not assign security to this opposition leader. You government not assign security to even the candidates, the APC candidates not get security. But the SLPP candidates get policemen and sojaman around them. So these are some of the things them I'll tell you how they talk. These are some of the things. So me they call on the parliament, especially the main opposition leader in a parliament, and they call on them, make them come now the national broadcasting, make them come and say something. Now the rights for make them come any bill where they go to parliament. Now the rights for meet them constituents them, for meet the people and where vote them in. For come and explain to them, say, now this the government don't bring. What
Thank
do
you.
Decide?
What
Thank
you
you.
do?
That's a great
that
point.
The responsibility for make them do that, but they can't do that.
Then go do them.
They can't do that.
Then go do them this time.
They can't.
Kashi, then
So
go do
now,
it. People's power.
Me they tell people in Sierra Leone as they say, Madabio and Parliament, the SLPP government, we say them fight for democracy. We say now they bring democracy. Now then they tell the people in this country say, when the Parliament get for camp in 2023, the Parliament will get for camp in 2023, they not get for account of nothing to the people. Nobody not get for all parliamentarian accountable. Nobody not get for council parliamentarian say, why you not can make law for me? Why you not can am ward? Why you not can am constituency? Why you not do this for me? So now the laws that they can say, the members of parliament and the people and the electorate them, they not get no contracts. They not get nothing.
Thank
no
you.
Contracts, not the way they design.
Thank you.
Nothing, absolutely.
Yep.
With all the things that way they happen at the country, now I make you see LJ in Saga the camp. LJ in Saga they come right there waiting Chernoh just to tell me I ask you. Then they bring LJ in Saga, make they don't go jail people for 36 months, 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
For make we concentrate, make we focus on their side and day. Long we left the bigger pictures already happen at parliament.
Absolutely.
I don't see that document. They're all waiting Chernoh don't talk.
Right.
You know, guys, this is really sad for the country. It's really sad for the democracy.
It's bad.
When they don't kill people, they don't chat people, they don't displace both people and houses for this democracy.
Thank you.
Now today, Madabio, they drag me to one party state. Now one party state, Madabio, they drag me.
Thank you.
If Madabio succeed by this, what's it going to be next? Now for like change the national constitution, where go suit your comfort. Because it already don't do that in the SLPP. They don't change the SLPP constitution where they the mandate for like run any time you want for run. Now they don't get no time limits. If you want to be leader at the party, now like come Madabio don't be leader so at the party. The next elections it will be leader. The other coming election it will be leader. They don't get time limit. They don't change it at their own constitution. Now, if we allow Madabio to go in 2023, it be president again at this country. Definitely, the next target now for change the national constitution, make it be president until death.
Thank you, People's Power. Very salient point. You know, before we bring in the Africanist press, Cashbox, talk to me. Talk to me about patriotism, Cashbox. This is where the people has to be involved now. Then people where they support the members of parliament them. We don't can open up their eyes. We don't can give them this information here. So how they going to use this information now for turn against the members of parliament to hold them accountable to say, una come out public if you can talk to me about this. Talk to me about that, Cashbox. Patriotism, right? Section, 13, subsection B of the Constitution makes it very clear, right, Cashbox? Where it say, the citizens shall cultivate a sense of nationalism and patriotism, where, their loyalty should lie to, should not be to their tribes, their ethnicity, or their region, right? This is where patriotism comes in. As a citizen, it is a responsibility to be patriotic to the country. We don't expose this. This is going to be something where then guys, they are passing a parliament. Now the rebel will get for come down the line. Before bringing the Africanist press for come close this one out, talk to me, Cashbox, on that. If you have any questions for Chernoh, I will take it from there.
Well, Ibrahim, that is the danger, and that is the situation where it's like say the people don't get power anymore, and I justify why I feel so, because now they say for make the members of parliament, the people that demand for many members of parliament, they can answer to them. But hold on, if the PR system goes through, Ibrahim, are the parliamentarians answerable to the people anymore?
No.
The answer is no. The answer is no. N-O, no. The answer is no.
Exactly.
But it just goes through. Yeah. So this not the problem. This not the problem what we get right now. The people can stand up now, but if the people stand up, the parliamentarians they go just say, "Well, get out before me." Like we've signed the PR system, like the PRs, the proportional representation. You do not have any influence over me anymore. So do you see the dilemma where we get right now, Ibrahim?
Yeah.
This is the dilemma. And the other thing where I want to say on that line, for say, like many people that demand for many the MPs they can, first of all, if the PRs, if they're not going to pass them into law, it means like they're not answerable to the people anymore. And secondly, like Ibrahim, to be honest, waiting therefore stop this bill from going through. I asked the question Chernoh about earlier.
Right.
Waiting therefore stop this from happening. Because it looks like I say, all the MPs there, be it opposition and the ruling party, they seem to understand what is going on here. So what is going to stop these people from doing this? I do not know the answer to this, and this is not a direct question. Maybe China, when you come back, you go kind of like box guess on this point. But you see the dilemma where we get right now as a country.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is the reason, Ibrahim. I think the fight is beyond, like, even with Parliament. Because for me, for a very, very long time, I've lost trust in this Parliament. Because there hasn't been any one bill where SLPP will pass, where they don't pass.
Yeah.
For me, I'm sorry, like, I've lost every confidence, every trust in this Parliament. Because, like, now it's hard to say the only time where it's the only thing we're going to ever change them, that we will go back to the international community. But are they going to get involved in if Parliament don't pass this thing? Can they turn it? Can they tell our Parliament to change it?
Actually, you know, that is why you have people like the Mamadi Doumbouya's in Guinea, right? For stuff like that. Because unconstitutionality should not be condoned anymore in Africa. And people cannot hide in democracy for, you know, take the rights of the people away from them. So, you know, let me bring in, you know, Chernoh again. My brother, you know, thank you for opening up our eyes on these things. And, you know, from where this, we see this welfare bill and this elections bill, parliament. I don't even know about the Political Parties Act bill. I only knew about the election law where they want for change and that of, you know, the Welfare Act bill. So, Chernoh, and you don't already talked about this, but this goes to this everything we've been calling out the people's attention to say these members of parliament cannot be trusted.
Just before you get Chernoh, sorry, I like people keep calling my phone. Just one or two things, like two things where I just mentioned very quickly. Now the fact that this whole PR system, what they can tell with the very thing that both the SLPP and the rebels in APC have been opposing the APC about selection. For me, the PR system looks like a selection to me.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, Ibrahim, Chernoh and People's Power, you know, this all NIN, National Insurance Number.
National Identification Number. Yeah.
Yes, identification number, sorry. So when you look at this whole thing, if you remember the last few years ago, which I think you mentioned that, where NCRA be kind of like bent for make everybody go register all that in the day. Yeah. We kind of like, you know, we preached against this thing to say, oh, do not allow this thing to happen because they could use this for election purposes.
Yeah, it don't come to fruition.
You remember, Ibrahim?
It don't come to fruition.
You remember we did all audio about this?
Yeah, Kashi. So it don't come to fruition now. It don't reach the point where, like how we say again by Chernoh say, it is a culminated attempt. It has been very strategic. They've been very chronological in this thing and they build them up. Slowly they're walking their way. How can we live in a democracy where the people are actually trying to undermine our democracy? Some people and people where they undermine with democracy. This was why Manabir was not invited to the democracy summit in America, because America don't see these things. And Chernoh, I'm gonna let you come in, but you know what? We have to do a special live addressing this to the international community. If I'm here, you know myself go do let we talk in English to the international community to lay this premise out, draw a comparison between the NACRA and the NIN for them to see exactly how these guys are trying to suppress voters in the next election, my brother. But come on in, Chernoh, let we, like how you say to the question where Cashbox be asked earlier about the census. How we get to this point. Talk to us on that.
Yeah. Before I come to that one, I just want to underline one thing. Cashbox, they talk about how for stop this. We make I just underline. We're not there against the power of Parliament for making law, as we've already underlined. But Parliament is the responsibility of citizens to make sure that Parliament do not make bad laws.
Mm-hmm.
And the current laws that we have, they are laws that directly affect our democracy. They are anti-democratic, and they are also laws that militate against the fundamental rights of citizens. They are our right to association, our right to democratic participation, and the right to choose our representative democracy.
Yeah.
So this is why we are opposed to those laws, and it's the responsibility of citizens to oppose their representatives when they are working against their interests. In this case, Parliament is not working in the interest of the country.
I'm sorry for interrupt you. My point is this. Like, yes, I totally agree that the people should stand up against their parliamentarian, but it looks as if this intended law seems to be taking the power away from the people.
Which I try for underline Cashbox, and the fact that we don't already begin to take action on this. This conversation is part of the action. Our role and responsibility Now for call on MPs and also inform the rest of the country what is going on. Because if it be left to these MPs, then plan for pass this law within this week. By Friday, they will be done with this. And this is the reason why they make sure the people then focus on something else instead of these particular laws. Because they need them laws there for making them able for rig the next election. There is no reason, every law where they bring, they forget an intention. There's a reason. The first thing we'll ask to MPs then, why they decide for bring election law and political parties law, new law for political party, new law for election. Right now, we will prepare for register people there, almost 2 months to electoral registration. Why? That's one. Secondly, why they decide for change the requirement
for registration
as a voter?
Yep.
Why they decide for add a national identification number
Yep.
into the voter register as a requirement? So
Yep.
that's one. What are we doing? This conversation we don't start so. We want to organize so. Now, part of your role and work as citizens, or call on MPs and get public conversation. We need for broaden this conversation. So on the Africanist Press side, we don't decide for a whole series of conversations where beginning on Thursday, where we will decide to invite people from across the world. We're not non-Sierra Leoneans, from universities, policy makers, democracy experts, will be part of that for listening to this conversation and ask them for begin help we for highlight this situation at the world, because we don't find out, say, we don't get opposition, we go stand for represent for interest. So make the international community as well know, say, they are dealing with a semi one-party dictatorship in the making.
Yep.
A parliament dictatorship in the making. A dictatorship that has been made in parliament.
Yep.
That has been legalized by parliament. That will be responsibility, because it's very important to make the rest of the civilized world know, say, the democracy, whether they try to promote the democracy that is now been legitimized and been made into a dictatorship through parliament. Now they get a parliamentary dictatorship.
Yep.
Okay, that democracy is a parliamentary dictatorship. It's a legalized dictatorship.
Yep.
And made so by the effort, collaborative effort of opposition, we're supposed for address and make sure the democracy work for serve as a counterbalance to dictatorship. They are now rubber stamping dictatorship. So it's important we own as a press organization, we don't decide for whole civic conversations, series of them. One of them will start on this Thursday, where we will present not just this conversation, but also show people the documents, including the NACRA agreement, all of this documentation for show, say, parliamentarians who are claiming when they talk, say they're not aware, they're not savvy, they just see this law mysteriously in the parliament. No, they know about it. Some of them have even consulted their base, both in America and in the country, across the diaspora, for telling us, we can't help Ramana get diaspora right for vote. We are in actual fact is a spoon, is an empty spoon they are feeding to their supporters outside of Sierra Leone, in Sierra Leone. But for come to you, that are the action. So I think, say, we are not underestimate this platform when they use to talk to the people, because these people don't hold on to the media, they don't hold on to even social media. Some sectors of the social media, they direct them in terms of where their attention should go instead of the main issues. So we therefore remain more committed and encourage the people and say, therefore make more loud, their voices should become louder than they currently are. If not to the MPs and all this, but many world here we say, we do not approve of the current arrangement. That when the IMF, the World Bank, and all these people, they give money to Salon, and then things that the parliament approve the supplementary budget made and give money, that parliament is a parliament that is working to entrench a dictatorship in the country. This is important. So that the legitimacy that these people think they have to act on our behalf, made them listen that we the people and give them that legitimacy there. When politicians begin to understand, say, there are other citizens who can act and inform the world about how crooked they are in terms of rigging our democracy, they will not to them angry. They not get a bad right to the parliament or to the political arrangement of the country. That is our responsibility. I will not give up.
Absolutely.
So that everybody must use their contacts, must use their connections, must use their platform, must use their voice, must use their education, must use their energy and whatever resources they have for make sure they will not allow with democracy for be fixed by a handful of politicians, rogue politicians, who have no interest to protect the interests of the people, but they are just out there working for themselves, and not only that, deceiving and distracting the people in their effort to entrench a one-party dictatorship. I keep repeating, there is no way Madabi will get a second term in a free and fair election in Sierra Leone under the current situation, under the current hardship. The people of Sierra Leone know that, and they're determined for sure that the politicians who have sold out to Madabi are now standing that they won't serve as a bridge against the people and will, and we must not allow them to do that.
Nope.
The same right and the same power and the same opportunity that we get, we have that opportunity more than they have, because we are with the people. We are the people. And now people then give them the opportunity for this. So when they know people are determined to say no to them, they will have no response, no opportunity but to face the people. The first thing, let them come out and tell their constituents if they really mean well. If that law they are a good law, when parliamentarians they say people that begin object to the welfare bill, they came out. They defend welfare bill. They say they want to get good pay. In fact, they make law. They know they will get petrol for good. Then they live under deplorable conditions.
Right.
So let them come out again and tell us why do they want to have a law for election,
Absolutely.
new law for political parties at this time. And secondly, what is in the law and why are they not willing to discuss it? And let them not just talk about proportional representation. 70 pages, more than 70 pages. Not to proportional representation no more daily. What are the other things? In fact, this I forget to mention this. So for make electoral commission then comfortable for work this thing for them, they have also decided now they will give electoral commission a special fund. So they establish what they call an independent fund. You don't understand? They call for basically allow more financial autonomy for the electoral commission. The electoral commission, the executive secretary will be the vote controller. So they will give them money. So this are the thing where audit service supposed to get. Audit service, remember, the financial secretary wrote a letter to Lara Telopias asking the auditor general, say if I transfer money to the treasury single account,
right?
For operate independent account. They went to Parliament. Parliament forced the audit service for accept the financial secretary's recommendation, which is against the constitution itself. Now, politicians in that parliament who stood by, watched the presidents deliberately dismantle the internal audit control of the government, including dismissing, suspending, or whatever you want to call it, sacking the auditor general. They don't do nothing, they sit down, to the extent that the audit service submit to parliament a fake audit report. They never debate it.
Oh, wow.
These are the same politicians who are now saying they want to create an independent. They want to give the electoral commission independent funding, make them which means if you want to help you electoral commissioner organize the election, make this law, organize the election, help we can a parliament, we get opposition there, the president win the presidential election, the winner say for this work I go do, we will give your money, now we manage the money, now they add no salary and manager.
Exactly.
This is the deal that these people have made against the people of Sierra Leone. And that is what is in that law. The more you look at it, the more you see the treachery of people. This is why they cannot talk about it. This is why they refuse silent. So one thing revealing, since I started talking about this, two or three MPs, and they call me all the time. No, we said not be see this one. The national identification, so 2 or 3 of them not say the national identification number will not go allow one. They say even the SLPP MP themselves, the day when they present and they say they don't want that. Because they say we're not good against them. Then I ask them, say, why they include that? Why would I include that? They don't get an answer to that. So 1 or 2 of them tell me, say, okay, now help me with what's my concerns. So they want me to write my concerns and tell them what I'm concerned about. So then basically it's a way to shut me down for me to keep quiet. So I won't raise the issues. But I have decided I will use my platform and the opportunity I get for tell the people of Sierra Leone is upon them.
Absolutely.
We have to do our own part. We have to. Most of these people, their leaders have deceived them, have duped them with propaganda and the promise of acting for their interests when they are not. We cannot be duped.
No.
We cannot be deceived. We got to stand out as even as few as we are, as the Sierra Leoneans who have refused to be duped by the treachery of these politicians. So our demands are very simple. What are we asking for?
Come out.
Tell parliamentarians, come out and tell the people why you want to bring new laws to regulate political parties, new laws for elections, when we have elections coming up.
Yep.
And what is in that law? And we have already pointed out the law is against mass participation. Is it true or not? And thirdly, tell us why, all of these things, and open the thing to public comment. Many public tell you what they want. They don't want for do it.
And this whole thing defeats the purpose of democracy, isn't it?
Yeah. And not only that the responsibility of citizens for telling parliamentarians how they should be represented.
Absolutely.
Not the parliamentarians for telling we how they want to represent we. Now we for telling how they for represent we.
Yeah.
So Chernoh, there is something where this is an entrenched clause as well, the Elections Act. It is an entrenched clause. So entrenched people like me saying a team way for the change of the constitution, even demand a referendum. And so it means people's participation. Talk to us about that, Chernoh. Now talk about that, the entrenched clause. People like Abdullah Conte, they are still alive now they write this constitution. Talk to me about that on that front.
We don't already one opposition lawyer supporter raised the same question. And say this declarative we say what in call law as far as the Sierra Leone politicians are concerned, now their own opinion. Their opinion, the law is always their opinion. So they don't decide, say, whether an entrenched clause, not entrenched clause, not supposed to touch them without public consent, public consultation, a referendum. They can decide, say, no, they go fix it this way. But all we are telling them, even if you decide to fix the law without going to a referendum, tell us what is in the law. What are you hiding?
Yep.
Why are you unwilling to talk about it? One of them even been telling me yesterday, say today they go on television, they go start radio conversation, they go do so. They've not done it.
No.
And interestingly, Wednesday and Thursday, they are debating the law. They are debating this elections law. Wednesday and Thursday. Ask how many Sierra Leoneans know about it.
When not today? My brother, Chernoh, not today. Actually, not today.
How many people?
Chernoh, not today. Not today, Wednesday, then they begin. Today, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Today, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, Thursday, then they debate the law. How many Sierra Leoneans, they say that they broadcast on television, so that they want to use television, AYV and SLBC as justification, so they don't consult the public.
Right.
So how in a country where there is no electricity, people don't even get light for charging their phone.
Thank you.
Now light for people can get television. These are your MPs. What are they? So when they go to the well of parliament, you go see them, they go pretend say they're not aware of, they're not beside the bill, and now they say, so this is why we have to lay out this history.
Absolutely.
You mentioned, Ibrahim, Chernoh, you mentioned earlier that maybe you want to use this platform because like a day or two might not be enough.
We want to definitely use this opportunity. We continue for lay this and in the next conversation. Now, over few we don't give so. If I
absolutely, and I think
continue
I'll welcome that idea as well.
Time now we begin look at both laws, page by page, at least some section by section. What we see.
Yep.
Yeah.
We started add. Always check all the areas that we then subtract or add. Areas that have to do with how they can control the outcome of the election.
Yeah.
That's all it's about. How they will determine, say, the outcome, the result they want, and they will get.
Chernoh, you don't have to worry about this platform. I know say it's difficult for you because you're the 1 hour, I think behind me. So it means that when we grab 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock morning. But we are ready to make that sacrifice, my brother. This is to save the soul of our democracy. Don't even worry about that part. I don't say it's difficult, it's not easy, but let's Salon people understand what it takes for service what they render because we are patriotic and we love the country for free. No money, nobody not pay we. And then for pay we self. But we're doing it for love of country so that tomorrow, generations here unborn, go listen to their message there. They say them people here be stand up for with democracy. This is the sacrifice we are making for una. We did at this part of the world. The hour for little sleep. Now get good sleep. We are waking up to do those things for una, to talk to una, for educate una, civic education. What the people get for do for protect democracy is the fundamental question we get for ask una. But go ahead, Chernoh. Go ahead.
Yes, I think say for me now inundate the people and flop more people. They made them rules say the parliamentarians don't decide.
And before Chernoh come in, and Honorable AKK, they now one radio stations where then they broadcast live on Facebook. When you look the comments of the people them where they come, and I think say a deeper talk about this and PR system where they want for bring come, and over 200 messages then don't come now the Facebook. Now that discussion the way Honorable AKK they right now as I talk live, the people them. They're all waiting and they say not to the party, not to the political parties then go choose who for go represent them at parliament.
People's Power. Right. People's Power. Thank you for that information there. But yes, we go take care of that. You know, say of course now Wednesday and people they listen and they go know exactly what is happening. But don't worry about that. People's Power. It's okay. Right, when I go practice. Okay. All right. Take care.
Go ahead.
So yeah, Chernoh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, I just want to summarize the key points then.
Yep.
That we get 1 year to election, and 1 year to this election, exactly 1 year to the election, the parliamentarians don't decide for bring in a new law for election. And one of the things that with this law they do now for make it difficult for one of the people there for register.
Yeah.
Because for make you register, you got to go to the ID card office for go take what and call
NIN,
National Identification Number, NIN.
Yes.
If you don't get NIN, you're not able for register. So if you then pass that law, then one of the things that we go for affect, and this not they affect the MPs then. They affect whosoever is going to be a presidential candidate for the major opposition, because as it is now, that is where the contest is between the two major parties, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
So the parliamentarians, for their own political and economic reasons, don't decide, say, they go fix up the election and allow themselves for good proportional representation, will allow them to get more control of the parliament. And then, if we're not able to register, even if we're not turn out for rally, we're not going to support the candidates we want. So if we want for choose if we want for really get our own person, we want for vote for we to mother bill, we tell the parliamentarian they make them make law, we go allow them for freely participate. Therefore, also parliamentarians should be concerned about how they make more polling stations available, especially when you look the number of polling stations now, constituency 056. You look the number of polling stations now, the Kenema area. Look the disparity between the two.
Yep.
Look the size of it.
Yep.
That is what they should be talking about. They should be talking about making laws that will make more polling stations available, make voter technology much more easy for reduce the waste in votes, not to laws the way they can undermine people's ability to participate. And this law, that is one of the main objectives.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to say. And not only the ordinary people, all of you who are interested in power, who think you have a stake in the next election, will not say this is what your MPs are trying to do. So make the MPs then come out and tell the people and don't focus on proportional representation. Your MPs, opposition MPs are not against proportional representation. Now they call for proportional representation. In fact, they want the threshold to be reduced from 25% to 15% or 12% because that would allow them to get more access to parliament. So not to SLPP want proportional representation, that the opposition parties that they want them, because that will free them away from the blame and responsibility for answer to them.
Yes.
Secondly, allow them easy passage for enter parliament and then fix up the electoral. For the ruling party, the mechanism is not set in place in terms of how in fact there are provisions where it talks to the president get right for fire any member of the electoral commission for gross misconduct. So say for example, the electoral commissioner want go announce result where the president knows that he go announce sack the same way we announce they don't suspend or sack Lara Teropias the same way you want for before they produce a report.
Yes.
Yeah. So you go down and say the same misconduct, you don't suspect and say they try to change the
numbers.
The election result numbers. So that is now going to be part of the law.
Yeah.
And the implication that they will get. So would MPs a need for come out and tell we exactly about this law instead of going to parliament to debate, that they should consult the people and tell them say this law. Many people and see if they want them.
Yes.
But all they want to talk about is about proportional representation. And the argument say proportional representation will reduce violence. The only time we don't get more violence than the political landscape now from where Madabi occupies State House.
Yeah.
The violence starts with the attack on Parliament.
Yeah.
Taking police to Parliament to bulldoze Parliament. That is not not proportional representation related. For take police presidential guard go kill prisoner in Apademba Road. That not get nothing to do with proportional representation. For take or constituency base. For take MP, I mean police that go kill people at Tombo, na Makeni. All the people that we don't die through police violence, police brutality, and the violence when Mother Bioka na power to now. Has it got to do with constituency-based election?
Nope.
It got to do anything with proportional representation. How proportional representation will reduce that kind of
election is election. Yes.
So what we have at stake here is our democracy. The fact that we parliamentarians in pursuit of their own economic and political interests don't decide for auction with democracy to the incumbent government, a government that has become so unpopular and so unproductive, and that has proven to be inept and corrupt.
Absolutely.
So for the diaspora people where they get hope say to seem they don't make to seem inside the law. They don't get 30% women's quota. They don't make sure say you in fact the other thing they say now if you work for government, if you resign 6 months ahead of time, why will you even need that? Because then you have for allow if you want to be civil servant, be civil servant. If you want to be politician, come on and be civil servant, be politician.
Yeah.
You don't have to give people opportunity to be both civil servant and politicians at the same time. You cannot do that.
No.
So that is the other dishonesty that they've added into the bill. They are just looking after their own interest.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about Tusim, you talk about this, yes, you know where it's coming from. You know where the ideas are coming from. So
yeah.
How can they claim that they don't know about the content of the law when the law reflects their own ideas, their own intent, their own aspiration, their own desires?
Yeah. This is the game they've been playing since they came to Parliament 2018.
So I think if left with me, we can hang this conversation here. People have something to think about.
Absolutely.
So that in the next segment, we begin going to
the depth,
bit by bit, aspects of both laws.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this should also occupy other smaller parties because they want for the register owner, they want for remove owner for contest, they want for remove owner for compete. So I have a concern about that. You have every reason for check the electoral, the Political Parties Act, because it's an act that is meant to prevent you from participating in the political process. You don't need people don't form no more political party for win election. Political parties are avenues where people express their constitutional right to expression.
Yep.
So whether they win an election or not, they have the right to have a party or belong to a party or form a party.
Yep.
You should not monetize it. You should not monetize it. You should not make it difficult. And that is what these laws are geared to do.
Right.
As People's Power say, it is a process to transform the country into a one-party state. And Madabio get that tendency. You don't show me that tendency.
Yeah.
Say he can do anything for remain in power. And this right now he negotiate with the MPs, but after now he will not need them to negotiate. They don't even see the danger where this represents to them because opportunism they blind people.
Yeah.
Their own selfish interest is blinding them to the dangers ahead.
Yep. Thank you.
I would like to
let's leave it here.
If we stop here.
Yes. Look, we're gonna leave it right here. I think it's a lot of information, but it's very, very focused. And like how you say, where you break it down in a nutshell, for close this national identification number. That is where they want to destroy on our opportunities and chances of voting. Because when I know say NACRA, some of you will be go register with NACRA. That paper will be given. Some of you will tell and don't sweat. You will lost that paper, they will not get chance again. That NACRA, where you go register, the neck they send you go to NACRA. NACRA go tell you now and begin make things difficult for you for get this national identification number. Repeat after me. National identification number. That is where SLPP get for the election. Marabio continue for their power because the members of parliament that they don't help them and agree. That you member of parliament where you like, where you jump for, you dance for. Now they agree for let them make this into law. Where a national identification number. Where by the time when March na June we pass so. July, August, September, in 2 months from now, September 3rd, now registration they open. So this all message we'll talk about today, if you not take nothing, because a lot of people, we don't do this for fun. We don't do this for music.
this NACRA issue, now one party in this way, the SFPP they criticize when they day in opposition. This NACRA issue, when the Aneskoma in government come with this national identification number, when people they go through that, then they want for say, well, make they use this NACRA and the NEC, the registration together. This SLPP, I remember at one point in time in 2017, when we will go through the registration for the 2018 elections, then people had then criticized this NACRA issue. They criticize why now they want to come use them.
Thank you,
why
people.
Now they want to come use this thing.
Because they want to use that illicitly, they want to use that the wrong way, they want to use that criminally, and we not accept them. But anyways, I think it's a lot left, and I don't know add more message to this. Lot left, and so when I listen attentively, and people when I get the right for protecting a democracy. Like I say again, democracy is the power of the people, for the people, and by the people. And Section 5 of the Constitution makes it very clear, say sovereignty belongs to the people, and the government derives its legitimacy, its power, and its authority from the people. Now when I get the power, now when I responsibility for go ask members of parliament them, let them come out and talk to we publicly. Like I be say, President Biobi can tell we say he gets unprecedented support from the census. What they start with my next conversation, we take them from that census day for bring them back to everything that is happening there like today. But for today, we left for now. Una bye bye everybody. Have a beautiful day. We go talk to Una. Bye bye. Kashi, any last word you want close up?
No, I think Ibrahim, like as you say, maybe waiting kind of like intriguing and the fact that like the entrenched law with these guys that they try for play with. You know, it's like I say, law don't kind of like turn other thing now we country. But anyway, let's go back and people should realize one thing: the G7 is ongoing. I think it finished like today. And Biden make a speech like the G7, the biggest democracy in the world. Like they don't meet, and Biden make a statement say the need for reiterate this point again about protecting democracy. They do not want like likes of China and people that really abuse democracy, when they abuse the people or get one party state for things say democracy isn't working, and they're trying for protect with democracy. And we the people in the salon get for stand and protect with democracy and know that we have the backing of like the big democracies in the world.
Absolutely. When I share this message around, everybody, when I take on a time, when I listen, get pen and paper, write the points and down. Like what people say, they make notes, write and down. If you don't write and down, go back and start the message again and listen and write and down. Bye bye, everybody.